Okay, Netflix's Avatar exists, most of its changes suck, and overall it's a deeply flawed adaptation with horrible pacing, shoehorned in plot points, deleted plot points that should have been in the show but aren't, and plot points that shouldn't have been in the show but are. The characters are heavy-handed and many of the characters are downright not what they were before. That said, I, being the one who couldn't stop dunking on Ozai in my original video about the animated show, will defend most of the changes they made to Ozai, and you can feel free to crucify me for it. Just don't make a stupid cult out of my death if I really do get crucified. Ozai in the original show is a topic of contention among the fans. Some kinda sorta like his treatment as a monster figure who has no character, motivation, or personality than being a comically evil jerk who is just the lol more power guy. And some people just treat him as a garbage character in an otherwise great show. I'm in none of those camps, if you couldn't tell already. Now, I don't claim the Netflix version of Ozai is perfect or anything. At best, he is a B-tier villain which just barely makes him serviceable, instead of the crap F-tier Ozai many people somehow think was serviceable. Granted, if you prefer the original, more power to you. It's none of my business, nor is it my place to tell you what you can and can't like. But all of that said, since I doubt I can manage shitting on a show everyone has probably already dunked on quite a lot, instead of doing what everybody has already done, I'm just going to say what I actually have to say. Ozai in the Netflix show is an improvement in almost every way. Don't kill me for that. First off, no, I don't think a disgusting idiot who thinks everyone is obliged to be subjugated by him is in any way sympathetic or should even be made sympathetic. That's not the point. The point is not being some kind of generic lol I'm gonna burn everything bad guy who is not even a fun or interesting character like some of his contemporaries. Something I think most people who hate the new Ozai or probably just don't like him ignore is the relatively more militarized nature of the Fire Nation's depiction and even the entire show for that matter. Did the writers do a good job in this case? No. But when it concerns Ozai, I think it enhances his character considerably. This guy literally goes to his grieving older brother and says, "Be proud of your son for the great achievement of dying." Talks of Fire Nation terrorists in Omashu, all for the Fire Nation kind of idiosyncrasy, the reason the Fire Sages have sworn allegiance to Ozai, the treatment Zuko gets at the meeting, all of it goes a long way in establishing the Fire Nation as an actual militaristic nationalist hellhole and its ruler a self-entitled prick instead of some OP as hell human monster who just so happens to have too many goons at his disposal. You know, basically Aku, but dull and uninteresting as hell. In the animated show, Ozai comes off as a cardboard villain who doesn't think about anything, doesn't believe in anything, other than just wanting power for no reason. In the Netflix adaptation, he comes off as a dictator who actually believes the bullshit he's throwing out, which makes him even more terrifying as a figure of considerable authority. Despite the what the f moment that is teenage Zuko finding an opening against what's supposed to be the final big bad, Ozai genuinely comes off as offended because of not being struck in the face by his son and potentially even being humiliated before his subjects. This guy believes the might makes right mentality so much that he thinks his son is wrong for not humiliating him when he could. Let that sink in. This Ozai is a dictator so deep in his own bullshit that he can't even get out of it even when it's for his own benefit. He genuinely thinks raising his kids to be callous monsters is for their own good, and that makes him what dictators should preferably be portrayed as instead of cartoon villains. Because shocker, actual dictators are nothing like cartoon villains who you can just hand wave as being cartoonishly evil. They are not people you should prevent yourself from punching if you happen to see them on the road to hell. Of course, that's not the point. They deserve every bit of scorn and hate they get for ruining so many lives millions of executions can't atone for, but treating them like fairytale monsters is an extremely childish thing. Which is what the previous Ozai came across as. Childish. Examining the psychological profiles of some of the most notorious nationalistic nations' people, their enforcers, and their leaders doesn't give you a comically evil bad guy who knows what he's doing is actually bad, but does it anyway because he just wants more power. Such people usually come off as fairly normal until you notice their ass is located in their anal cavity, which is what Ozai is. This guy has all of the basic drives of wanting his country to be prosperous as a ruler and raise his children in a way that would make him and even themselves proud, but goes about it in the most self-righteous, asinine way that a psychotherapist might just diagnose him with narcissistic personality disorder at one glance. That's why if he's going to throw away the lives of his own soldiers, his own people, he wouldn't give a shit, not because he's lol just evil, but because he has genuinely come to believe the supposed weak are just stepping stones for the strong. He's like that even for his nephew, even for his son, even for himself. People like Mustache Man and Pol Pot, despite being deserving of so much hatred and disdain that all the history of mankind cannot offer, were not comic book villains. And the people of Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan weren't psychotic megalomaniacs who did what they did because they like killing or whatever. They were terrifyingly normal, insecure, and misguided people who, in the right condition, under the right leader, of the right head in the ass variety, committed some of the worst atrocities imaginable that even demons would be ashamed of. Because demons don't think what they're doing is right or flaunt it as some righteous endeavor with a level of cognitive dissonance that should make even Satan open his eyes. Demons aren't like that, which is what makes the situation all the more terrifying. The dogmatic nature of Ozai's rule forcing everyone to work themselves to death and destroy whatever they see as obstacles, climb up the corpses of ally and foe, comrade, friend and family alike, with no regard for the consequences or the cost, is what makes a true dogmatic nationalistic regime with a self-righteous prick as its leader terrifying. Not being able to shoot cool fire beams and scorching the earth from your cool balloon or whatever these guys' actions are supposed to entail. To me, this Ozai's unsettling smirk and callous remarks ring truer than generic evil Dark Lord 101 with evil laughter template slapped on top. And even then, this new one is just now a B-tier serviceable villain. Which is sad. You can do better, Avatar. You really can. Now, if only Netflix could find a way to fuck up this new Ozai's character later on and completely waste the whole time I spent making this video, that would be great.